I'm Michaela Kathleen, and I'm here today with another quotes video. In fact, my final quotes video. I'm not done with quotes entirely on my channel. I love quotes, and I want to keep them as a part of my channel, but I am kind of running low on kind of themes for my quotes videos, like my favorite John Green quotes, or my favorite Harry Potter quotes, or my favorite feminist quotes. And so this is going to be my last kind of dedicated quotes video with a theme, and from here on out I'm planning to just do one quote at the end of every video. So we'll see how that works out. And since I'm dropping this kind of series, I want to pick up a different series of videos that I can do every month, and so for that I have landed on doing my top 10s. So every month I'll have kind of a different list of my top 10 favorite of something. So of course I'll be starting with my top 10 favorite books. But this series is actually also going to kind of branch out beyond books, otherwise it would not be a series that would last very long. And so I'll be doing all sorts of top 10s, like my top 10 favorite sitcoms, or TV dramas, or albums, what have you, as many things as I can think of. So yes, a very exciting change sort of coming to my channel. So my first top 10 will be coming in March, and that is also when I will start doing just a single quote at the end of each video with my first video of March. But for now, back to this, my final full quotes video. And the theme for this final video is quotes by Black creators in honor of Black History Month. So my first quote comes from George Washington Carver, who was a Black scientist in the late 1800s and early 1900s. And this quote is, "Education is the key to unlock the golden door of freedom," which is so true. I feel like in politics we forget about education as an issue or a topic to care about, but it really is the topic that I feel like we should care the most about, and should really be one of our top priorities for all people, because it is going to have the biggest impact on our future and is also going to have the biggest impact on creating a more equal future. We need to make sure that everyone is having the opportunity to a good education. The next two quotes I have are both very famous quotes from Martin Luther King Jr., and I think they are famous for a reason. So the first one is, "Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere." And the second one is, "Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly." And then I have a really beautiful bit of poetry from Beyonce on the visual album Lemonade. And it goes, "Dear moon, we blame you for floods, for the flush of blood, for men who are also wolves. We blame you for the night, for the dark, for the ghosts," which I just think is really pretty. My next quote is from Chris Gardner. A Will Smith movie was made about his life called The Pursuit of Happiness. I highly recommend it. But the quote goes, "You got a dream, you gotta protect it. People can't do something, they want to tell you you can't do it. If you want something, go get it. Period." Next, I have two quotes from Roxane Gay that actually appeared in my quotes video last year for Women's History Month, my favorite feminist quotes, but I feel like these quotes can apply not only to feminism, but also to the equal rights movement. And the first one is a little bit of a long one, but it goes, "It's hard not to feel humorless as a woman and a feminist, to recognize misogyny in so many forms, some great and some small, and know you're not imagining things. It's hard to be told to lighten up, because if you lighten up anymore, you're gonna float the fuck away. The problem is not that one of these things is happening, it's that they are all happening, concurrently and constantly." And then the second one is, "Some women being empowered does not prove that the patriarchy is dead. It proves that some of us are lucky." Which, yeah, again, I feel like if you just replaced a few words in those quotes, you could easily be talking about racism in America. The next quote I have is from a poem by a poet named Ebony Stewart, which I saw over on Button Poetry, a channel that I would recommend very highly. It's a very short quote, kind of maybe a little bit out of context, but it was just a line in the poem that just really stuck out to me. I quite honestly don't remember what the poem was called, but again, it's over on Button Poetry. Type in Ebony Stewart. I'm sure you should be able to find it if you're interested. But the quote goes, "I better be smart enough to keep my freedom." And yeah, it's just a line that kind of hits you hard within the context of the poem. And then I have a bunch of quotes from Zora Neale Hurston from the book Their Eyes Were Watching God, which I just read earlier this month. And it's a highly quotable book. There's so much beautiful language in the novel. So the first one is, "There are years that ask questions and years that answer," which I just found very relatable, probably especially relatable to last year. The next quote from Their Eyes Were Watching God is, "They bowed down to him, rather, because he was all of these things. And then again, he was all of these things because the town bowed down." And then moving right through these Zora Neale Hurston quotes, the next one is, "When people sat around on the porch and passed around the pictures of their thoughts for the others to look at and see, it was nice. The fact that the thought pictures were always crayon enlargements of life made it even nicer to listen to," which I thought was just a really pretty kind of description of people just sitting around and talking. And then the next one is just a little short, impactful one, and it goes, "You have to have power to free things." And then I have two from Their Eyes Are Watching God regarding grief, which was an interesting element to the book, and I kind of really liked the book's take on it about letting people kind of have their own feelings and mourn in their own way. So the first quote goes, "Mourning oughtn't to last no longer than grief." And the second one goes, "She was too busy feeling grief to dress like grief." So yeah, I feel like that's just kind of about being kind when someone is in mourning and not judging them for how they do that. Moving on from Their Eyes Were Watching God to The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. And the quote from this one goes, "Sometimes you can do everything right and things will still go wrong. The key is to never stop doing right," which is so true. And then I have a quote from Let's Talk About Love by Claire Kahn. And this one is just a sweet little love quote that goes, "Neither of them believed in forever, but for now wasn't nearly long enough." And then I'll end on another very famous, for good reason, Martin Luther King Jr. quote. And it goes, "Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. Hate multiplies hate. Violence multiplies violence. And toughness multiplies toughness in a descending spiral of destruction." So yeah, those were some very excellent quote by Black creators. Please feel free to open up discussion in the comments down below, highlighting any other great quotes or stories from Black creators. Thanks for watching. Remember, words matter.